Good afternoon. This is Jody from Bird Dog Off-Road Adventures, otherwise known as the Hulk Squatch. Just kidding. But seriously, we want to come to you today. We got a nice surprise. A company called OpenRoad reached out to us. They want us to try out their winch. We currently have a Warren winch, the EBS10K. This one is a 13K winch, and it has two wireless remotes. So we're very anxious to check this out. Some of our good friends on other YouTube channels that we follow use them as well. Ozark Overland Adventures, God's ZRZ, or Godspeed ZRZ. Some of our Jeep friends use them. So I want to try these out in the Bronco. This should be a quick and easy installation because we already have a winch there. So it should be just as simple as mainly unbolting the current one, rebolting this into the JCR bumper, and then just run the wires. So we're going to go through all that process with you guys, let you guys see what we do, then we'll go try it out. We'll see if we can't get ourselves stuck or maybe even recover one of our friends, hopefully somebody from the Chicagoland Broncos, and then we'll show you guys all that here shortly. So stay tight. We're going to unbox this thing, and then we'll be rolling. All right, we're going to take our utility knife here real quick. We'll cut this open, and then we'll see what all's in there. I may have to lift it up out of the frame for just a few seconds here while we open this. Now, this has not been opened before, so I don't know how it's packaged. So we may have to move this box around a little bit as we get it open. I see something I like already here. I'll show it to you guys here as soon as I open the box. I guess you probably guess what that is if you watch me any length of time or hear me on Instagram. Stickers! We love stickers here. Probably the best reason or the best thing about buying aftermarket parts, right? Put these on your toolboxes, maybe on your tailgate, whatever you want to put with them. You know, they're great. So a couple other little knickknacks in here. Looks like we have an instruction manual. This is a pretty nice little instruction manual. I mean, it's like really nice. And I know you probably can't see it from the camera, but this is really nice. It has like, it's all color. It's got pictures, step by step, everything. So that's really nice. I like that. That's probably one of the better instruction manuals I've ever seen. This day and age, everybody puts everything online and just expects you to download it and copy it and everything and print it out. Looks like here, I'm going to guess this is probably the negative cable for your battery. Trying to see what else we have in here. See something red in the corner of my eye. Oh, this is the OpenRoad tag. I think this is for when you want to pull your hook out from your fairlead. I don't know if we'll need this or not. One of the things that we may have to be careful of with our setup, because we have the front camera relocation kit. I'm sure some Broncos don't, and I know most of the Jeeps I've seen that use these don't. So we have to be careful. We'll probably use the fairlead that we already have, which is a factor 55, and just transfer it over. But it's good that they include this because not everybody has the same setup, and people who don't have a front-facing camera or have a front-facing camera alternative different from ours, they may want this. So kudos to them for supplying it. Of course, we got some hardware here. Looks like some nuts and bolts and washers. So we'll set this to the side as well. Of course, here's one of the big foam pieces. We'll set this over here out of the way. And then here, this is pretty neat. Got us a hat. So that's pretty cool. Not many places do that anymore, you know. And it looks like here we have our two remotes. And I'm assuming they have little screws in here. I'm assuming they use like AA or something. We'll have to check that out. Obviously, if they use regular batteries, we don't want to leave them in there too long because we don't want them to corrode and therefore mess up the controls. I'm going to be honest with you, the current winch I've had with the Foreigner and on the Bronco, I've never had to use it for anything other than just pulling the winch in. So we have to be mindful of that. It's something you always want to be mindful of. Any electronics, like your remotes at home and your TVs and such. The ones that use the old style AA, AAA, whatever. And of course here you have the plug. Now our current winch, this is kind of what we use. We have a plug-in thing. Like I said, we hardly ever use it. But anyway, this is good to have. Even if you don't plan on using it, it's good to have. You know, in case your battery goes dead in your remotes. Comes with a fairlead. I don't know if we'll use this one or if we'll keep the factor 55 one. But, you know, like I said, not everybody has a sign up for me. So it's a good thing they send this. Keep somebody from having to buy something extra. And then, of course, the rest of it is the winch itself. There's a part of the positive battery cable. So I'm going to shift this box around here. And I'm going to try to lift this up. Of course, obviously, I don't want to try to break anything. Oh, Lord, you know, these things are heavy. So if you've ever dealt with a winch, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So a little box here, lots of styrofoam. Keep everything all nice and tidy. So here is the winch. So this box, from watching the other, I haven't looked at the instructions yet because I just pulled them out of the box, obviously. But this control box, you do have to mount it. Here's a plug to put your wired remote. If you want to use the wired remote, you'd have to plug it in right here. I'll be honest with you, if those remotes work good, I'm not going to bother with it. Here's your turn thing if you want to unlock your winch, I should say. Looks like the wiring's already hooked up for mine. I know some of the videos I saw from others, they had to do that themselves. So that's interesting. So, oops. Be careful there. I want to bust my counter. But anyway, so it looks like everything's on. This thing here is already bolted down. Sorry, a little dirt there. Here's the end of the winch rope. Now we will spool this before we use it. I've always been told that you're supposed to spool your winches, especially initially, but you're supposed to spool them every so often anyway to keep that tension on that rope, help prevent failure down the road. All right, we got all of our hardware here. So it comes with these 4 bolts, lock washer, and these little square nuts. These little square nuts go in the bottom of the winch before you set it in the mounting area. So for example, here in the instructions, it points this out to you. There's little holes, and I'll put those in here. I'll show you this later. That you slide them inside these little cavern things here, and the bolt set them down on top of the mounting area, and then you feed the bolt washer or the lock washer, then bolt head up through the bottom into those little holes. This is the same way the Warren I had did as well. I think this is pretty much standard in most winches. It did give me some new Fairlead bolts. I'm keeping my Factor 55 Fairlead, so I don't think I will need that. But you know, it's cool that they did offer that because they do have a Fairlead with the box. You know, also I have the Factor 55 flat guard. The reason I use this one instead of the hook is because of this front-facing camera. Because if I use something else, it wouldn't be able to, it would obscure the view of the camera. So I have to kind of do that. So, you know, that's just the way it rolls. But anyway, so we'll walk over here and we'll show you guys a comparison as far as size goes between the old one and the new one. Now be mindful, the Warren winch is only a 10,000 pound synthetic rope winch. The OpenRoad is a 13,000 pound open winch. So it gives you a kind of idea. You would think there'd be a discrepancy in size, but there's really not. I think the OpenRoad might be a little bit longer, but the Warren is definitely more bulkier as far as the ends go. Either way, both are supposed to be good winches. So I never hardly use the Warren other than to spool it. So we'll say goodbye to it, and then we'll put the OpenRoad on, and we'll go from there. Okay, to kind of go over what we just talked about, these little 4 squares, you slide them in here, and then you slide them down here at the bottom as well. So all 4 of these spots have one. So you slide them in there, and then you'll have to kind of play with them a little bit, get them lined up once they're set down. That can be kind of a pain, but you just have to do what you have to do. But yeah, they're in there. So that'll hold the winch onto the mounting place. And after that,
Little helpful hint, once you get this thing set on here, if those bolts aren't lined up, take a small flathead screwdriver or a small hex head like I did here, and you can just kind of move those nuts inside up through the hole, get them positioned correctly before you start trying to feed those bolts up through there. Like I said, this could be a tedious task if they don't line up correctly at first try, but you're talking maybe a couple of minutes to get them lined up right, and you're off to the races. All right, little trip here. Just get some electrical tape, wrap it up real good and nice, and you can snake it up through the hole. Bronco's a little tight in this area to get especially a wire this big of a gauge, so just something to show you.
this thing's here, if you try to bend it, it bends right here, so you want to try to bend it up here. So I'm going to try to do that with some pliers. See if I can't bend this thing at an L more. Some of you all probably know what I'm talking about because I'm sure those of you who've done a winch before. So we'll see if I can't bend it right here. into like a perfect L. So it's definitely not as easy as you'd think it would be, but it's getting close. All right, well, it's not as pretty as I'd hoped, but it is what it is. So when I plug this in, I'll sneak it around some of these other wires, and it will sit flush, and I should be able to close this red lid without much fanfare. Well, latch and stay down. All right, now we're going to put the negative battery back on, and then we'll be done. We'll test it out, and we'll see how it works. Fingers crossed. You know, we got our negative over here, by the way, to the winch. So we'll try the wired one first. Oh, there we go. Nice. All right, so now we're going to put our factor 55 fair lead in. And then, like I said before, we'll be ready to go. All right. All right, so that thing's good and tight. It ain't going nowhere. Oh, apparently they do. All right. All right. Man, perfect. This is pretty cool. So yeah, this will definitely, I mean, you got two. Something else I like to do, you see how this wire for the positive? I like to get this electric cloth tape, I guess what they call it, and wrap it on it. And it just kind of helps mask it a little bit. It's not something you would have to do. It's just, you know, something I like to do because I like to be neat and tidy. Uh,
Well, as you can see here, the day after our install, we went to an event, and sure enough, we got stuck. Like I said, this wasn't intentional; just happened to have happened. So, kind of ironic, in my opinion, considering that we never had to use the old one before. But anyway, had a lot of good guys here trying to help us out. You can see it was stuck pretty good. Definitely high center on this big old log. But we got the winch performing, and it did great. You know, we'd highly recommend anybody check it out if they're in the market for a winch. We got an affiliate link below. We also got a discount code that gets you like $50 off this very winch. So I highly suggest you try to take advantage of that if you're in the market for a good winch. This one here definitely performed flawlessly. So sit back and watch us work, and hope you enjoy.
Give it a little more.
There you go.
Give it a little more.
Driver.
Great success.
Alright, first thing you want to do after you get the winch installed is to spool it. As you can see here, we spool it after our use. You want to do it after every use as well. You want to keep that tension good and tight on that winch when it's not in use, so that way you limit your probability for failure later on. Hope you guys like and subscribe. We got a lot more content to come. This is a great deal, so hope you all take advantage of it. Thank you so much.